In talking about negative numbers, we've acquired a couple of extra things that we might do to a number. And we need to think about where those things fall in the order of operations. One of the things that we've acquired that we might do to a number is the absolute value. In the order of operations, the absolute value acts as a grouping symbol. What does that mean? That means any operations that appear inside the absolute value are performed first, then we take the absolute value, and then we proceed with other operations. For example, if we have 4 plus the absolute value 3 minus 7, first we perform the 3 minus 7 inside the parentheses. 7 is bigger, so we understand this as 3 plus negative 7. Opposite signs, so we subtract. 7 is bigger, so the result is negative. We now have 4 plus absolute value negative 4. Now we actually perform the absolute value. Absolute value negative 4, that means ignore the sign and just take the positive version. Now we just have 4 plus 4, which is 8. So the absolute value acts as a grouping symbol, which means we do what's inside first, then we do absolute value. The other thing that we learned how to do, the other new element we introduce when we introduce negative numbers is additional uses for the sign that we previously used for subtraction. We actually have 3 related ways that we use this dash-shaped sign. We use it for subtraction, as in 8 minus 2. We use it to indicate that we're writing a negative number, as in negative 17. And we can use it to indicate that we're taking the opposite. So if we write a negative sign followed by negative 9, we would read this as the opposite of negative 9. How do we understand these in terms of order of operations? Taking the opposite happens in order of operations at the same time as multiplication. So after exponents, but before addition. When we're using a negative sign purely to indicate a negative number, we will write the negative number in parentheses if it matters. So in particular, if I write a negative sign followed by a 4 followed by squared, this means the opposite of 4 to the second power, with 4 to the second power evaluated first. Negative 4 to the second power is negative 16. On the other hand, if I write negative 4 in parentheses to the second power, that means the number negative 4 raised to the second power. In other words, 2 copies of negative 4 multiplied together. A negative times a negative is positive. If we want to actually do arithmetic to a negative number, rather than taking an opposite at some point, it's important to include that negative number in parentheses.